Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which longitude you are in today. My name is David Gordney. I'm the Director of Customer Success at import.io. And today is, inaugural kickoff of office hours. And for the next hour, I'm going to be your professor. So first off, the whole intent of this office hour is just get your questions answered. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to say, if anybody has any questions, and the best, go ahead and use the Q&A session and type in what you would like to know real quick, so maybe you don't have to wait. You want a question now. If not, I'm going to go on and talk about what my agenda is. So we have a question from Philippe Walters. He says, you want to know about collecting data in deeper layers. Actually, that's one of the demos I'm going to go over. We call that chaining, and I'll be able to show you an example of how to get pricing, for example, and data from IKEA to using a chaining method. So hearing no other questions, I'm just going to go and start with our agenda. And as I said, basically the whole intent of this thing is actually to help you learn about how import.io works, or if you have any other questions about pricing, when to use it, when to not use it, etc. Go ahead and use the Q&A session or the QA session to write something up, and we'll get to it. Either we'll answer it by textually or we can do it live. So first off, we're going to go ahead and open up a new window. And I'm going to show our first site we're going to go to. But one moment, I'm going to go ahead and go to my slides and talk about the demonstrations themselves. So we're going to do 3 different demos today. It's kind of all part of our step, walk, and run. First one's going to be just a very simple web extraction, so you get a end-to-end idea of how you use import.io to get data to a web, from the web and into an Excel spreadsheet, or in this case, a Google spreadsheet. Next, we'll talk about web extraction with pagination, so you can go successive pages using the tool that has multiple items or lists that are longer than that fit on a page. And last, there will be chaining one extractor to another, and this is how we actually, one gentleman was asking how we get to deeper levels of data. So the first one's going to be simple web extraction. Suppose I'm a college student and I need to collect weather data for my college meteorology class. So it's just going to be a single page, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to go ahead and integrate this into Google Sheets so we can plot it real quick to see what the weather looks like. So with that, I'm going to go to my web browser, and I'm going to look at the site first. So here it is, for example, the weather, some data for the months of January from 2016 to 1900. And I'm just going to, the question's been posed, what was some of the roughest winters in San Jose? So, or San Jose on January. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this URL, because we're going to go and extract data from this page. And I'm going to put it into our dashboard. Hold on one second. I'll open a new dashboard. So this is our dashboard. A little layout of this whole this screen is on the left-hand side. As you build extractors, they appear in a list on the left here, and the manipulation of the extractor all occurs here in the middle. Right. All right. Next, we're going to go ahead and say click New Extractor, put it in our URL, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and train this web page so we can extract the data we want. So import.io behind the scenes is actually looking at the page, analyzes the page, and says, "Hey, I see a table in there," and so out of the box, it will identify almost all the data I'm looking for, because that's just what's built into the technology. It does almost everything I need perfectly, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and clear the table, right? This table here, which is our endpoint for data, and I'm going to walk you through how to actually train it on a very simple example here. So I cleared the table. So there's 2 different views we have. We have the data view and the website view. I'm going to start with the website view. I'm going to create my columns, and the first one I'm going to go ahead and do is year. And since I only need to capture some of the data to figure out how bad the rainfall was that year, I'm going to only create 2 other columns. One's going to say add column for total precipitation, total precipitation, and let's do one for precipitation max for over 24-hour period. All right, so let's start from the year. So this is basically import.io allows you to train pages and collect the data you want just by pointing and clicking. So this first column, I want to go ahead and click the year. And so when I click on that, that value actually appears inside this over here to let me know that I have this piece of data, and it also creates a row in the data table. So I really want to get all these different years. So when I click again, something great happens. Import.io actually says, anticipates what I'm trying to do, which is get all the years, and fills in the rest for me. So now I have a complete table of all the years in question. So I'm going to go ahead and train the next column by selecting column itself, and then go to total precipitation, click on 1 and 2, and again, because it's anticipating what I want to do, it go ahead and did the rest of the training for me. So I'm going to do the last one, which is maximum precipitation in 24-hour period. Click and click again, and I've got all my data. So that's everything I need to do this. Simply capture this page. In this case, I have my year, my total precipitation, and max in 24 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. It's going to bring me back to my desktop. So here's all information about the extractor. And the first one at the top says, run URLs. And what it does is going to go ahead and go collect information from that original URL that I put into our trainer, right? That it appears in this list here. I can add additional here if the page has the same format to collect data from those as well. For example, if I wanted to get February data, I could go ahead and put that in here as well. So let's go ahead and run our extractor, which will go out to the web page, pull the needed data, and be able to preview it and display it, export it as a CSV, JSON file, etc. Right? So there's the data. We came back with 117 rows. I'm actually able to preview the data, and it looks pretty good. All right, so also what we have in here is we actually have ability to integrate with various other products. And one in question, I'm gonna go right here, is to make it easier, is do Google Sheets. So what I'm gonna do first is open up a new Sheets page. I'm gonna create a new Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to go back to my page where I have the integration. I'm going to select the Google Sheets URL or our function, go to Google Sheets, paste into the spreadsheet, and I should see that same data that's here before. So quickly, I'm going to do a quick analysis on this by going ahead and put this into a pivot table, and I'll be able to plot it, and we'll be able to answer our question pretty quickly if what the most impact of rain was that year. So let's go ahead and make a pivot chart, say data, pivot table. And I'm going to go add the rows as years. I'm going to say add the field total precipitation. And add another field for max precipitation. So now we look at the data. Oops, sorry, I put the wrong field. Let's drag these into the values, like so. And we can see the information there. And so now what I can go ahead is just go ahead and create a plot of these. And it automatically thought what I wanted to do. I'm going to actually go ahead and say insert this. And I'm going to change it to go ahead and go in a single page by itself. Like so. Then I'm going to visualization mode. And quickly, I can see my data pretty quickly and see, wow, this 1911 was a lot of rain that year. But not only a lot of year, there was actually a pretty heavy duty of at least one day where there was almost 4 inches of rain. So we've answered our question in a very short period of time. We've gone from web data just to spreadsheet data to plotted data in less than 5 minutes. All right, so let's go on to another example. Actually, at this point, is there any questions so far? Go ahead and type it in the Q&A window, and we can get it answered for you. All right, so for our next scenario, we're going to do what we call web extraction with pagination. I hinted to this earlier that there's some sites where you actually would go ahead and there'd be multiple listings of items, and you want to get successive pages of those. In this particular case, we're going to go ahead and use Yelp, because I'm a restaurateur who's looking to start a new taqueria. I really want to find out what my competition is in the area, so I'm going to go search, where I live in San Jose, and see what other taquerias are in place. So let's go back to our web browser. We're going to go ahead and create a new window to take a look at the Yelp site. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and search for taquerias. And I get a list back. So this is what I was talking about. So I get a list. There's sponsored ads, but there's also 10 standard ads. And if we go down the bottom, we can see they're paginated from 1 to 96. So when we go ahead and actually click on a second page, our URL actually changes. It says there's this little thing to look up here. It says it's a URL parameter. It says an offset of 10. That means second page means go to the next set of 10. We can use this tool to go ahead and progressively walk down this list to capture all of them automatically. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So first, though, let's go ahead and train this to go ahead and get the information off that we want. So let's go back to our dashboard, click on a new extractor, say go. Again, it's thinking about it and analyzing the page and say, hey, can I find out how to extract the data you're most likely looking for? So, by the way, I'll ask again, if you have any kind of questions, go ahead and bring it up. So I'm going to go ahead and manually train this page because I know exactly what I'm looking for. What I'm going to go for here is I'm going to put the name of the restaurant, add a new column to add the region, address, city, state, and phone number. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I look back in the data view. I've named all my columns. I'm going to go back to the website view, and now I'm going to go ahead and do my training. So the first thing I want to do is click the name. And so what pops up here is it says it indicates that there's actually a link associated with this. We're going to talk about this in an example. Is that we could do is capture that link so we actually go to another page. And the next example about IKEA, we'll actually really talk about that and go through that. At this point, I'm going to say no because I don't need one to capture for this particular example. Go for region. And if I click multiple regions, it'll probably figure it out here pretty quick. Yep. And so it's figured out the rest. So let's make sure I've actually got that other column, rest of it's changed or trained. Click on so. So it should figure out, oops, I'm going to unselect that one. I don't want this one, I want that one, this, and it's completely changed, trained for name, address. Let's do the same point and click method. Monterey Road, North First Street, and that should do it. It's got everything trained. Let's do city. Well, we can, what's going to happen here is that I can choose, what I'm going to show you here is you actually can do some refinement. As we notice, the city, the state, and zip code are actually all combined in one. So what I'm going to do for city and state in this particular case is just to go ahead and select this, and I'll use a slightly different other technique to go ahead and pull that information out. And that's done in the data field. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the city field. All right, and it selects that. But as I said, it incorporates not only just the city, but in the state and the zip code. We want to go ahead and split this out. So I'm going to show you actually how to do that. So what we can do is provide a filtering mechanism we call regular expressions. It's kind of an advanced technique, but in this case, I actually have to go out and use it. So what I'm going to notice here is that there's basically simple text up to this comma right here. And so I'm going to use that to figure out what I need. So I can tell it to select everything I need up to that comma. And then I'm going to replace that. So now I took that city and completely replaced it. It's like, you don't have to know about the details. The only thing I really want you to walk away with knowing is that we can make really clean data sets so ahead of time so you don't have to do post-processing, which is important. So let's go back and train the state, and I'll quickly do the same thing as I did before. I want to select this same text. Right, and it's trained. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now here is go back to the data field. I'm going to tell it to look for a comma, A to Z, and two of these. I need a space in here. All right, put a capture around this. And now I've cleaned up the state. So actually, one more thing I'm gonna just add really quick here. There's the phone number, but I actually left out the zip code, but that's fine. It's so easy to do. I'm gonna put the zip code in here pretty quick. Use it. It's also embedded in that same field. So let's go ahead and train that really quickly. And we have all our data. And let's go ahead and refine it. So just pull out the zip code data. Again, don't worry about the details at this point. I just know that there's techniques for actually cleaning up your data. And lastly, let's go ahead and do the phone number, and we should be done. All right, so we got all our data. We're going to go ahead and save our extractor again. So what we're going to do really quick, we're just going to run on a single page, and then I'm going to show you how to get multiple pages. So I'm running my extractor, goes out and hits the page, should come back fairly quick. It has one page to go visit. And it's extracting the data. Let's go into the website. Things to know about this is once you start the extractor, you can actually close the window and it's still it'll still be active and running. So you can have multiple extractors running at the same time. And I came back with 13 rows. Some of them were sponsored. All right, we can take a preview, and there's the data I was looking for. So now what we're going to do is, I said there was multiple pages, and it's based by that offset. So what we can do is use what we call our URL generator, and I'm just going to generate the first 10 pages. So I know that it goes from, it increments at 10 at a time. So I'm going to start at 0, go up to 100, which is 10 pages, but increment by 10. And when I do that, it actually generates the URLs for me below. Now I want to add them to my URL list. So I'm going to remove this existing one, add these to the list, and then click Save. Now I'm going to go ahead and run. It's going to go hit each of those pages. There was actually more pages, but I just for this exercise, I'm just going to go ahead and run the first 10. While that's running, if there's any questions that you need, go ahead and put them on the Q&A. It's actually running a little bit longer. So we'll let that run right now. It's going in the background. It's going to take a little bit longer. But let's go ahead and talk about our next one while this runs. So to keep things going, moving along, is our next one is what somebody had mentioned in the beginning of the call is called extractor training, extractor chaining. And this particular use case, I'm a local purveyor of domestic furniture, and what I want to do, I want to get prices on various products from that are in line with those IKEA, because I compete in those range and I have my own site. So what I want to do is make sure that my prices are least competitive with theirs, so that people actually come to my site. All right, so let's go ahead and visit IKEA while the other stuff's running in the background. Still going. All right, so let's go ahead and hit www.ikea. All right, so what I'm going to look for in this particular case, this particular purveyor is an expert in chairs. So I'm going to go ahead, chairs. And again, just like the other sites, I get a paginated listing, etc. Right? So what first I want to do, because I want to go, what I want to do is get the details which are behind these links when I click on it. So what I'm going to show you how to do is first we'll create what we call a list extractor, which will get the links to all these products. And then we build a detail extractor to get the information that's on the next page. So let's go ahead and copy that URL. Again, create a new extractor. Paste the URL, click go. So as you probably understand right now, I'm not doing any coding. I'm just pointing and clicking to get the information, which is one of the attributes of import.io. Again, the technology went through and did its best shot to figure out, hey, what I want. In this case, I want some very simple things. So I'm going to clear the table and manually train again, give you opportunity to see how you do it again, how you actually do this manually. In this case, I'm just going to label this product link and train. Click on the product. As I said previously in our example, it pops up a little answer or question if you have a URL that has a link to it or a piece of element on the page that links to it. In this particular case, I'm going to say yes, because I want to go to the next page on my detail extractor. So I'll continue to train this page, and I made 2 clicks, and again, like I said, it anticipated what I needed, and I'm going to go ahead and it does the rest of the training for me. I can go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to go ahead and run that first listing page. Now, if you recall, that same list page was actually paginated too, so I could apply the same techniques I did previously to get different pages, but for the sake of speed right here, we're going to just go ahead and use that one single listing page and then drill down, write an extractor that drill down the details. All right, so we got 24 results. We preview our data. These are all links, so I can go ahead and click on one, and has the detail information that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go copy that URL, open a new create a new extractor, cut and paste, click go button, and I'm going to get the detail information from the page. And let's see what it came back with. I'm going to go ahead and manually train it. So the things that I'm interested in is actually the name of the product. I'll want a brief description of the product, and obviously the price, because that was our original goal, is to figure out competitive pricing. And then lastly, because it's so important with Kia, is the article number, because that uniquely defines what the product is, even though they might have similar names. All right, so let's train really quick. Click on product, description, price, and lastly, article number. And we're done. Click save, and we're ready to go. All right, so let's go ahead and run this extractor real quick. And we come back with results real quick. Just a single page. And there we go, preview our data. And that's all the information that I went and trained the extractor on. So I'm going to go actually relabel this so I know the difference between these two different extractors. This one's going to be the details, or detail rather, singular, and list pages. So I can distinguish these two. So now what I'm going to go to is I'm going to take the output from this list extractor, which are those URLs that I pointed out, and feed them to a detail extractor that pulls the rest of information. So we go ahead and configure that by clicking on the extractor that we have the detail information, go to the settings, and then it says extract from multiple URLs, use explicit list of URLs. So this explicit list is what you populate if you want to put manually in yourself. In this case, I'm going to click on the drop down, say URLs from another extractor, and I can start typing, and it gives me the list of extractors. And then from that list of that extractor, I need to know which field to use to go ahead and get the URLs. In this case, it's our product link. So now I go click run. And what I expect should happen is that there's 24 different URLs here that I should get 24 results back on the detail page. It was fed 24 URLs, and it's running through it. Little note about the run history. This first line right here shows the number of URLs that was passed to it, successes, and if there was any failures mentioned here, the current time and estimated time to completion. So while that finishes, let's just go quickly back to our Yelp example. It's probably done by now, and we can take a look at our data, and it's all that great stuff. Competitive information we can now go use across a bunch of 10 pages in San Jose. So back to the list pages for IKEA, and then the detail page is probably done by now. All right, we got 20, as expected, we got 24 rows returned, and there's our data. So that wraps it up for me as far as the demos. Should we go ahead and entertain any questions? Yeah, and throw them in Q&A. Anybody? One of the frequently asked questions people ask for new to the product is, we license the product by the number of queries. And people say, well, what's a query? Well, a query is anytime you think of going to a web browser and taking a URL and pushing it into a web browser. That's considered a query for pricing purposes. I could show you some other things if you're interested. Let's see here. What would be something good that would be good to look at? A popular one that's also done a lot of time people scrape for. We can go ahead and do some Amazon. We can do something similar with chaining that we did for there. But I'm going to actually look for something special for me. I like to build things, so I'm going to look for a Raspberry Pi information. So again, I'm going to go ahead, I search for it, I have my URL, and now I can actually build a list extractor to get all these different components, and then I get details if I want. In this case, I'm going to go cut and paste, create a new extractor, just like before. yeah, I mean, I'll thank you for that comment about, we've improved our technology. We're actually, continue to make this easier and easier as we go along. Having previously had what we call kind of a standard application desktop, we're now moving, like a lot of companies, to being SaaS company and providing as a service. I actually could say this out there, if you don't feel comfortable even doing some of this, we do offer professional services so that we can, provide guidance and do stuff. If you really want to reach out to somebody, you can just say help at import.io, and somebody in their sales team can talk to you if you have more questions, or if you want to ask them individually, etc. All right, so it went ahead and it gave me my default train, but all I want is to get list of things and some prices. So I'm going to clear the table, add a column for, let's delete column, add a column, say product. I'm going to train that first. I only want the regular listings. I don't want any sponsored stuff. And there, it's trained automatically. Again, as I said, what's nice about import.io is it anticipates what I want to do for me and it tries to help me. If I didn't want this, and let's say I only wanted the first one, what I can do is I can say, well, that's not what I want. And see how it removed everything? I can say, I don't want this one here. Let's say I just wanted to get the first one. So that's important. If things are in sort order, I can say I only want the first one, and I could do it that way. But that's not the case here. I want to get everything, so I'm going to click on them to get everything. All right. Let's clear this. Let's clear data. Say click, and that should train everything. So this is our list extractor, and I'm going to get some detail pages. So it's another example of chaining that somebody was asking about. I'm going to go ahead and run this. I'm going to preview my data, and it has all these Raspberry Pis that I'm looking for. I'm going to click on one of these so I can see what it looks like in the detail page, and I'm going to use this to go again to get the details information for them. So I'm going to copy example URL, create myself a new extractor. I'm going to clear the table because I only want single information, particularly here. So I'm going to go ahead and type the product name, and I'm going to put some description information in here. And then lastly, some price, because doesn't the world live on prices? All right, so product, there you go. Description, I'm going to capture all this information there. And then lastly, price. And I'm going to save that. So this is my detail extractor, and I can feed the previous list extractor. And now I can use this competitive light, I can use this pricing information, etc. If I wanted to compare, if I was trying to sell Raspberry Pis, I could say, well, what's the fair price, the setting for this? So I basically did market research with a web extraction tool, right? So I'm going to go ahead and run it to make sure it pulls the data I want and get a preview of it. All right, I got my row back. There's my 3 pieces of information. Again, so I can know the difference, I'm going to go quickly relabel these. And Amazon, sorry, I got a mixed up list. Sorry, I read bad. Detail and list. All right, same as before, we're going to go ahead and feed our list extractor into the into the details extractor. Okay, let's get our list, product URL, and we're going to go ahead and run it. So while that's running, now if anybody has, I mean, again, we talked about the intention of these office hours was to educate you. So what if you know, if you're a first-time user or old-time user and stuff, and you have questions or you have difficulty with getting data from some sites, that is your opportunity to come to these office hours, which occur every Tuesday and Thursday at this time. Bring your URLs, send them ahead of time as pre-questions or whatever if you can. And then go ahead and from there, we can bring them there and I can do them live and help you out and show you actually, so give probably some training on the tool and how to do some web extraction. So any other questions so far, or anybody have any particular websites they would like me, they could send to me and I could quickly go ahead and scrape? Sure. Would you like to, it sounds like we can do some more explanation on regular expressions. Do you want me to do some little detail, go back and revisit some of that stuff? I'll go ahead and do that. Maybe I'll, maybe that's, can we do that live? Or, yeah, we'll all live and stuff. So let's go ahead and explain a little more about regular expressions. So I'm gonna go back to my original, you know, weather data. Well, sorry, it was the Yelp data, and maybe I'll walk through this again to be a little more explicit what I'm doing here, and I'll walk through the different examples. So as we started out, when I was trying to train this extractor, we noticed that the text itself for city, state, and zip code was only addressable as a single string. But we wanted to go ahead and split it out into its state, zip, and city components. So what we were able to do, I'll create another column here. Let's create a city. I can train the extractor to pick up that particular part of text. So now I have it all in place. But now I go back to the data table and I can go ahead and now apply a regular expression to this. So a little more explanation about regular expressions. Because this particular string has city, abbreviated state, and zip code, what we want to do is split this out. And some of the things you can do is you can pull things, you can either match on something. In the case of when I was looking for zip code, I could say, this means look for any number, that's a single number. And as you can see, it shows 9 down here. But now I say, if I give it an option, says, means 1 or more. And so now it shows everything. So it does a filtering on this and pulls out only the information that I need. Right? Alternatively, when we're trying to do city, what I told it was I could start from the beginning of the string. I'm going to pick up every character, which means this right means little dot means any character. This means 0 or more up to a comma. All right. Now, if I was to go ahead and just leave it as is, you see the comma is still present in there. So what I want to do is, what I want is between the beginning of the line and the comma is just actually break out in what we call a capture group. So what this says is anything you find inside here by this matching, I want you to go ahead and put it and capture it. And if I have successive ones of these, like so, that still matches, they get put in different variables. So in this case, I want to do replacement. I say $1, so that's to reference this first capture group. So when I click it, the only thing that remains is actually San Jose. So actually, I think what a good idea is, we do have the names of people and stuff. I think some post hoc, I can send out a really good tutorial and some training tools that would tell you how to use regular expressions to your fullest, along with our link to our help pages, which would be really helpful. Okay, can I get that? So it should be in the chat, right? Or is it a queue? Do you have, where's the? Hey, you just Slack it to me. Where is it? Do you see it? There it is, the chat. Sorry, my bad. All right, so, okay, let's go ahead and let's start with, somebody's got something here. Let's go ahead and train this. All right, okay, so let's see what you want. Okay, so Philip, I want to collect all the prices from the brand Jalipa on this side. Okay, let's give it a shot here. I'm gonna go ahead and save this away and then go back to our dashboard. Create a new extractor. Well, let's go in the extractor. Let's go look at the site itself because it seems like there needs to be some advanced information. Okay. All right, so try to click all prices in the brand Jalipa. Okay, so that searches for this, looking at the information. I'm assuming these are all from these brands and says, okay, so per product, I have to click on the picture, show details to get the original article number of the manufacturer. For the first round product in the list, you go to this. Once you've clicked on the picture, see more details pop up. Let's click on this, show details. Oh, so it's just clicking to, well, let's see if we can just build an extractor that goes to that directly. Let's try that out. Let's go to the website. Let's clear this information. So that's a product link. Just going to go ahead and click on this. Includes a link. Let's see if this works correctly. That does the rest of the training. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead and run it and let's see what it looks like. Let's look at our output here. See what I get for links. Yep, it takes me to the product. Okay, it's perfect. So now I can go ahead and select that URL because now I'm going to train my detail extractor. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the name and the SKU and the manufacturer. See where this is. All right, so let's clear our table. Let's try to turn it off. So one of the things we actually can do to actually clean things up sometimes is pages have associated what they call a style sheet. It's actually separated, what they call a separation of concerns for a web page, meaning you put all the style information you can change easily, and the web page itself just has content. We have the ability to actually turn that off, so it actually a lot of times makes the content a lot clearer. So I'll see if I can find the SKU this way. It also makes the pages look funky, but the content is there. So let's scroll down here and see what we have. Look for the SKU. Article number, this guy right here, it actually is true. It makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and create the name. And it's a plaid fleece. Add a new column for, they called it just SKU. Click on so, like so. Oops, save that first. Click on so, and now I have the details. All right. So name and SKU. I could add others, but these are the ones just going to go to show an example, etc. Now, let's go ahead and label this as details and run that. And we're going to mark this as list. And let's go back to our details. It ran so we can preview the data. It's still running. Let's look at our data, looks like. There it is. We have our name of our product and the SKU. But now we want to feed from it a, let's chain these extractors together to get that complete list fed into the details. So I'm going to search for the list extractor. And there's the product link. And I'm going to say run URLs. Now I should get a successive URL should be fed in there, and we should get all the results back. It's currently running. So it'll take some time. "14 seconds, and I think we're there. Let's look at a preview of the data. And so here we have a list of all the products with the SKUs that were actually hidden by behind a graphic picture, right? Anybody else? I mean, actually, if you don't have one today, like I said, we're going to be here, Tuesdays and Thursdays. You come up, you trial our product, or your old customer, new potential customer, bring them in here and we'll show you actually how to do it. It's kind of like I said, I was your professor for the hour. It's like going back to college where you're having tough with that calculus exam. You need some help, and that's my job, is to make you successful, right? Hearing no other questions, I think we can at least wrap it for today. So thank you everybody for taking the time and spending an hour with the professor to get your questions answered, right? If you do have any questions though, let's actually let the questions or want to sign up for other ones, make sure you go to www.import.io help webinars and look there for updates. We're going to be having a series of different type of webinars, some specific, some in general like this, are places to help you out. So look forward to seeing a bunch of you in the future. Thank you.